Hi guys, welcome to another video. Hope you're all keeping well. Now this is going to be another video review of the one of the episodes in the Hammer House of Horror 1980 TV series. Now this happens to be my favourite episode out of all of them. It's really, when I first watched this way back in the winter of 1980, absolutely terrified me. So as I say, it's episode 12, and that episode is called The Two Faces of Evil, and that's the wife of the main protagonist and antagonist, if you like, 'cause it's a kind of a dual role. Okay. As per usual, I'll just read you the synopsis at the back and then talk a little bit more about about the episode as a whole. Okay. The Two Faces of Evil. Setting off on their holidays, a family unwisely give a lift to a sinister hitchhiker. After the car crashes, one man is dead and one man is injured. But which one? Fantastic doppelganger story, this, guys. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And there's the main guy at the front. Well, as I say, the main antagonist, if you like, played brilliantly by Gary Raymond, and Anna Calder Marshall plays his wife, fantastic performances all round. Okay then, guys, this was first screened on the 29th of November in 1980, and as I say, it stars Gary Raymond and Anna Calder Marshall. Now, just like all the other Hammer House of Horror episodes, this story opens with a real bang, and I mean a real bang, because we're introduced to the Lewis family. They're driving along this country road in Britain on a holiday and are singing Coming Round the Mountain. All jolly and happy and that, not a care in the world. When suddenly the world is shattered by the appearance of this strange hitchhiker figure standing in the woods in the rain, all clad in yellow, in a yellow raincoat and a yellow hat. Very reminiscent of the character in Don't Look Now. Basically they stop to give him a lift and that, and he gets into the car, and no sooner is he in the car, then he attacks the husband and that. He's got this sharp fingernail and that, and he's battling with the husband in the car. The car overturns, they're battling away in that, and then that's the opening and that. The car's on, it's basically overturned and that, and then you get the usual opening score and that, the Hammer House of Horror theme, and then the story opens with the mother. She's in hospital and that. She just recovered and that from a coma, and quite weird hospital this, although it's very clean and that. It's got this sort of foreboding aspect about it. So it turns out that both her husband and her son are actually still alive and that. The doctors and nurses say, don't worry in that, your husband's fine and that, but I don't really want to give away too much of this story, guys, because I want you to see it for yourselves, and because, as I say, this is my favourite episode, The Two Faces of Evil, and if you love doppelganger stories, you will love this. As I say, it terrified me when I first watched it in the winter of 1980. Anyway, I'll try and be as concise as I can, just give you the main outline, and then, as I say, I don't really want to divulge too much about it and that, because I want you to watch this episode for yourselves and that, just to see how breathtakingly horrific it is. Well, it horrified me anyway. Okay, well, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding a husband and that, because she takes him home and that, he's basically more or less, well, you could say he's partially on the mend and that, but he's got this thing around his throat and that, because apparently the doctor said, in the fight in the car, he had glass embedded in his throat and that, so he can't talk and that, so he can just gesture and that. Very tall guy, really is, and that, very tall, thin guy and that. And as I say, you've got the lad, the little boy and that, and he take the husband home and that, and they think he's okay in that, but then he starts behaving rather strangely, because he starts bursting into these rages in the house and that. He's putting the kettle on and that, he gets irritable and that, and he throws the kettle aside and that, and he gets this nurse coming to see him and that, this district nurse, and when the wife goes out for something, she notices his fingers long and that, and she gets a pair of scissors out, and she scolds him and that, she quietly, and she cuts cuts the nail off and that, you can't be too careful and that, she says to him, like confidentially. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, you've got this uncertainty, as I say. I mean, you don't know if it's a husband or it's not. You've got this other body in the morgue who is a spitting image of a husband and that. And, well, the woman basically says, like, she says to the morticians and that, they say, like, well, did your husband have any distinguishing marks and that, and the woman says, well, my husband had lovely teeth. So one of them goes over and looks at the actually Cloves in this. Philip Latham, who played Clove, and that he's one of the morticians and that. And he goes over and he examines the corpse's teeth and he says, well, in that case, this is definitely not your husband. Yeah. So she's all relieved and that, all happy in that. So she goes home and that, and she's all happy seeing her husband that's sitting in the chair and that. And she pours a drink in that for them both. And as she pours the drink, the husband's standing there and he's sort of like, his lips part and that. And you see all his teeth rotten. She's terrified and that, she grabs the lad and that. And, but I don't really want to give away too much of the story. But the overwhelming theme is like, is it really a husband? What's going on here? It's not really fully explained, really, this story, The Two Faces of Evil, exactly what's going on. But boy, is this guy terrifying, Gary Raymond, and that, you don't know, as I say, you don't know if it is a husband turned evil. And you get these flashbacks as well to the, when he picked the hitchhiker up in the woods and that, they're fighting in the grass and that, and the husband's battling away, and the hitchhiker's got this, like, long fingernail and that, and that. So you've got that retrospective, it keeps coming in intermittently. And then, as I say, the hospital, the weird doctors and nurses and that, especially the nurse, the sister. Oh, yeah, there's something very, very weird about her. Yeah, you just get the feeling something's not quite right, guys, and then you get a policeman coming along and that, and even him, you start wondering about him, and then you've got, like, the neighbour, like, he's a kind of a farmer guy. So you've got, like, all this sort of, like, overwhelming sense of, like, well, basically something's not quite right, ever since the car accidents and that, and the hospital and that. And as I say, Gary Raymond, he's really on the money playing this sinister character, like dual character, like doppelganger kind of character. And oh yeah, very, very disturbing episode, guys, and great performances, all round and that, even by the little boy, but yeah, one of the best doppelganger stories I've ever seen, and it's definitely my all-time favourites of all the episodes I love of the Hammer House of Horror, and I love most of them. The Two Faces of Evil is definitely my number one favourites and that. And as I say, the girl playing the mother, she's really great in it, she's really fantastic, and well, as is all the cast, really, yeah. Oh yeah, I've watched this episode many, many times, guys. The Two Faces of Evil. I just love it. He's a real kind of, the character, like, I mean, he's just sort of like, well, one minute he's sitting in the chair, like he's got the bandage around his neck and he's sitting there like that in the chair. And the boy, he might look at the little boy and he might go. He gives a sort of like false smile sort of thing, but there's something not quite right. Something's not, it's not quite right with the father, and even the wife and that, he gives this slow smile and that, he goes, oh, it's creepy, guys, it really is, yeah. But yeah, I love the elements of uncertainty and ambiguity, permeating this episode, and the producers and writers did a fantastic job with this story. It would have made a good movie, actually, but I love my doppelganger movies, and The Two Faces of Evil, this certainly made a good movie, yeah. So I'd rate this episode, guys, a full 10 out of 10. It was disturbing, it was shocking, it was terrifying, and it just gave you the creeps, especially the way that Gary Raymond, he played the husband and that, wasn't quite a husband, if you know what I mean, in normal terms, yeah, because he was so happy at the beginning, driving along in the country and that, singing it, she'll be coming round the mountain all happy and jolly on the holiday and that, and then the world's shattered forever when this sinister hitchhiker appears in that, in the yellow rain mac and the yellow hat. And he give him a ring, give him the ring, they give him a lift, in the car and that, and of course all hell breaks loose and that, and things are never ever the same again, yeah. Oh yeah, very atmospheric story, and I highly recommend The Two Faces of Evil, yeah, along with the Peter Cushing one, and the House That Bled to Death, right, this is my number one favourite, The Two Faces of Evil, yeah. And as I say, I've watched it many, many times and that, yeah, very, very dark atmosphere, and the father, Gary Raymond, is one of the most terrifying characters I have ever seen in anything really, horror movie, anything really, I I've often watched this story and that, out of all of them, watched this the most and that, because it's just so terrifying and very, very disturbing, the way they've done it, like the way he comes out of hospital and he's got the bandage around his neck, and you get the feeling something's not quite right with him since the fight in the car and that, in the countryside and that. Things are never the same and that, and because the double in the morgue and that looks a spitting image of a husband and that, and then when the mortician says, well, in that case, this is definitely not your husband, the teeth and that. Well, when she goes back to the house and celebrates and that, and he parts his mouth and you see his teeth and that, oh yeah, terrifying, yeah. Okay, guys, well, that concludes my review of episode 12 of the Hammer House of Horror, The Two Faces of Evil, starring Gary Raymond and Anna Calder Marshall. Have you seen this episode? What did you think of it? Do you share my opinion that it's the most terrifying episode of them all? Leave your comments down below. What do you think of the Hammer House of Horror in general TV series? Have you watched all the episodes? Have you got a particular favourites? Yeah, again, leave your comments down below. Yeah, I always love to hear from your followers and that. What do you think about certain episodes and that, of horror TV shows and movies and that. But as I say, this is a fantastic episode. I absolutely love it. Yeah, and full marks to the writers who dreamed up this story. They've done a great job, very atmospheric, very dark, and very, very disturbing. Yeah, the most disturbing doppelganger story I've ever watched. Yeah. Okay, guys, well, that's it. That concludes my review of The Two Faces of Evil. I shall be back very, very soon with another Hammer House of Horror review, which I think will be the last one, and that will be episode 13, The Mark of Satan. Yeah. All right then, guys, that's it. I'll try and stay nice and cool in this hot weather. Yeah. Oh, I've hardly got any sleep last night. It was so bloody hot. Yeah. Oh, it's a bit dull today, and it's a little bit cooler. Yeah. But oh yeah, let's hope we get proper cooler weather back soon. Yeah. Yeah. All right then, guys. I've gone enough about the weather. Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.